And we're live. Hi, everyone. I am here with Christian Lyngvad, who, by the way, you're here as the TO for the Battle of the Plains, which is a tournament coming up here next Saturday. But you're also like the biggest, I guess, the most winning Danish bolt action painter. Um, and at the same time, you're on the ETC team for Flames of War. And at the same time, Christian also just qualified for the Danish national team and came second at the latest Zealand Open tournament. So, like,
and won the Jutland Open.
And won the Jutland Open as well, right? So basically, you're second on Zealand and first in Jutland, which, yeah. So you've been having a really good year, haven't you?
Yeah, and I think it has to do to the fact that there were so many tournaments simultaneously after one another. So at the Danish nationals, I brought a gimmick list because I wanted to compete in the painting competition. So I wanted to bring some
nice units for painting.
Yeah, and exactly, and also some that catches the eye from afar.
Yeah.
But I lost to another very great painter, which is Martin Davidsen, and he deservedly won. So after the nationals, I was like, okay, now I want to bring something nicely painted, but also something that is a bit more competitive.
Yeah, and you really did. I mean, and basically you succeeded in doing well with Brits who were not Gurkha Brits, which was amazing.
Yeah, and I've been chatting with you about the fact that yes, Gurkhas are good.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing as, even though I have a driver's license, I cannot go in Verstappen's Formula 1 racer and do lap times like him. So often we see people that have been, studying internet stuff, looking at your videos and Color Platinum and all the other guys that's love for the community. But it has to suit your style of play, and you know how to play the Gurkhas because you've done it for so long,
But you're a much better skirmisher, and I think potentially even a better skirmisher than I am, right? You really like you're having your darker vehicles and a little bit of everything. So it's a very different play style, right? But today we're going to talk about the Battle of the Plains, Slaget på Heden, as it's called in Danish, which is I guess it's a fun tournament, because you always have sort of a theme for what's going on. And could you talk us through what was your idea with the pack this time?
Well, actually, last year I told the guys that I wanted to do it divided into periods. So each year would be like early war, mid war, and late war, as we do in Flames of War at tournaments.
Yes.
Because I wanted to see things that are not combined with stuff that weren't used in 44, let's say, an AT rifle. Yes, they had some, but not when they could use Fausts, So, and to me, at least, you can still make the tournament competitive, where people can, get all their great toys out. But also, it gives a completely different meta, because you have to think in a completely different direction, especially like normally
there's just these limitations of you can't take your Fausts. You're going to have to do something else, right?
Yeah, exactly. And also because I wanted people to be able to field the units that we not always see, such as Stuarts and all the other jazz,
And for this one, it's from 1935 to 1941. Is that right?
Yes, and it has to do to the fact that normally in Europe we regard the Second World War starting in September 39 with the invasion of Poland, but in Asia it began much earlier with the fighting in China. So so that's the idea. And then, unfortunately for the American players, I put a limit on that you couldn't bring units that were from after 6th of December 1941.
Oh, so the Americans are basically out.
They're out of the tournament, but then we get to see other great nations, like the minor nations and stuff like that.
Yes, because all the minors are suddenly very much in, right? would you even have allowed like alternate armies, like, because I have a whole Czechoslovakian, what if the Czechoslovakian crisis would have turned hot army?
But that would be just in the spirit of Battle of the Plains. For instance, Jan Nielsen, he wanted to bring a dad's army, a home guard army, and he asked me if he could bring some motorcycles with sidecars. And even though they're not in the theater selector, I checked up on the Imperial War Museum as a reference, and there are photos of them driving around in Exeter.
So they definitely had them.
So I allowed it, and then also the fact that normally when we play in tournaments in Denmark, special characters are not allowed, and also internationally. But I think
I've basically never heard of anyone allowing special characters, and you do, you madman.
So I thought but there was one limitation, and that was that they were not allowed to bring characters that were not actually there fighting in 1941.
So it had to be a character that was actually fighting in that army during that period. So yeah. And we're going to see a couple of those later on, because we're going to look at 3 of the lists that I felt like was really interesting. So we're going to see a couple of those special characters. It's the weirdest things happen when you do that, right? Because you change up everything with that one character that can do something like out of the ordinary. So yeah, I don't actually feel comfortable in predicting anyone for the win of this tournament, because it's all going to be weird and wacky.
Yeah, and that's
also what you wanted, right?
Yeah, and that's also why there's actually a category, a prize that you can win at the tournament that I invented last year, because early war always have these, weird and finical vehicles with like rear-facing MGs or one-man turrets and stuff like that. So I wanted to emphasize the early 30s vehicles and all the wacky ones. So I emphasize people to bring vehicles that are not seen so often, like the Harrington armored car, or like there's some guy, one of the guys from my local community has brought some experimental tank that they used in the Battle of France. and it's all in the spirit of the stuff, it's unreliable and has 2 weird cannons on it, and so there's a lot of contenders for that category for sure.
And at the same time, you also, because you're of course, painting, I guess, will be an important part of this competition as well. What are you doing for painting?
Well, after David Hesselfeld made the Ink of Valor, I wanted to do something, something similar. With an Ink of Valor, competition where you can actually compete with units. You don't have to have actually them in your list. If you just had a pretty model that you want to bring.
Bring your prettiest models.
And then the cool thing is that in my local gaming club in Project Nexus, where we are hosting the event, many of my mates there are also very skilled painters, especially my friend Christopher. He's been featured in White Dwarf and has over 25,000 followers on Instagram. So he's a very skilled painter, and at the Ink of Valor competition, I've hooked up with some of my mates that will be in the judges board.
So you'll actually get like semi-professional painters to come and judge it. Nice.
Yeah, and then also, like, we want to give people some feedback, because instead of just saying, "Hey, this is the prettiest model, congratulations," we wanted to say,
actually, like,
it's the prettiest model because of, and then also maybe give some pros and cons with the miniature. And then at our venue or at the club, we have 2 painting tables that is always set up with some really nice cutting mats and expensive lighting. So you can actually get, your mini well presented, because often when we are at events at a venue in like a gym hall,
the lighting won't be good.
Exactly. And it doesn't always do the models justice. So I just wanted to do something for the guys that like to paint as well.
Brilliant. So you've looked through all the lists that are going by now, haven't you? Because you had to check them all. Yeah.
Yep.
What do you think that these limitations, so the fact that you're focusing on early war, the fact that you're allowing theater platoons and you're allowing special characters, what has that done for what people are taking? What are you seeing?
Well, at least in my humble opinion, I think that there are like 10 good builds in
Yeah.
Bold Action at the moment.
Yeah.
And has been for quite some while, that you'll see slight alterations of each time, and then it's very predictable. Okay, we at least has to have something to counter a Perk list. We at least has to something counter a barbecue list or leaf blower list, or know,
exactly.
all that. So by doing this, putting in restrictions with theater lists, not only do we get a completely different meta, we get historical accurate lists where people can field all the weird stuff, and also people has to think out of the box.
Yeah. And I think that's the most important bit for me, that thinking out of the box, not just bringing what you're usually bringing to tournaments, like having to rethink, and you can do that with missions, but you can also do it with limitations like you're doing here.
Yeah, and then, Bo, you also a very, organized person. And I know you do a lot of prep before a tournament.
Always.
And it's easier to do preparations when you know the meta, like when you know those 10 good lists.
Exactly.
But here,
it's all gone.
Yeah, it's all, you completely shook up the entire meta, and you can tell by the list that people are bringing.
You really can. Yes, you really can. Everything is up for grabs. So how many people do you think are actually bringing special characters for this? Because I looked over the lists and I thought like maybe half of the lists I saw.
Yeah, and the thing is, I made one other limitations in regards to creating the lists, and that was the fact that if you are bringing, let's say, Steiner, that one of the guys have brought, he's like this famous character from the old movie from the 70s, the Iron Cross.
Yeah.
And he was also like an actual person. But the thing is, if you bring him and you play against another German army that also has Steiner,
you can only have one.
None of you can use him. There's only one guy in real life.
Yeah.
So and that's really cool. So I said to people, yes, you can bring a special character, but in case you play it against somebody that also has that guy, well, you need to have a stand-in unit.
Yeah. Because and that may actually be a thing, because I noticed at least that there was 2 of the lists that were bringing Finnish with the White Death sniper. So that might be a thing that they might have to take him off the table.
Yeah, but could you see, Bo, like, who has the first dice? Oh my God, I just shot your sniper that is like,
you're dead.
You spent hours on painting. Okay, so I didn't want that.
No, of course not. So so as you say, I am a prepper. I really like to prep, which means that I am totally out of my comfort zone with this tournament. I am not going to predict anything. What about you? Do you feel comfortable in predicting what will happen, except that everyone, of course, will have massive amounts of fun?
Yeah, but I forgot to answer your last question, actually, because it was happening. But it's I think that as I counted, there were like 6 lists that had a special character with them.
Yeah.
But I tried really to shake up things also with the pack. So the guys from, what is it, Bold Action Alliance, they're called. They created some funny and alternate missions that I wanted to bring. So first in the pack, we are playing one of the objective scenarios that they made. And then to shake up things in the second round, we have to play Kitty Hawk Down.
Oh, that's the one where the actual objective sort of can land in a huge strip at the center of the board.
Yeah, and long board edge, yeah. And the cool thing is, like, it's going to be dead center. And when it strikes, there's like an immediate impact where you just get a tremendous amount of damage. And then the further you go away from the crash site, people can get pins and minor damage. And that is the cool thing about that mission, is that you can only it only lands in the beginning of, or it lands in the beginning of turn 4. So for the first 3 rounds.
You don't know where you want to go.
You don't know
You're
where
just
you
going to
want to
sit there
go,
and.
or do you want to push and take the middle and get in a good position? So,
but then you potentially get hit by a plane falling from the heavens. I mean, yeah, it's a weird and wonderful mission, that one. Yeah.
Yeah, and it fits the spirit, and also because
really
I want to try to level the playing field. So all the sharks that normally are attending tournaments cannot just play on autopilot.
Yeah.
And
They're
then
keep on their toes here. Yeah.
Yeah. Then in the last mission, we're gonna play my personally favorite mission, which is from the normal rule book, which is Sectors. I think that is like the most intriguing and interesting mission of all.
Also a personal favorite of mine. I can tell you that. I really like Sectors. Right. So having gone over the lists, who do you think are going to win?
I think it's going to be some of the regulars that are at least top contenders.
Normally,
I think Anders Gerfeldt, he's bringing 2 Panzer Frees with Zach, and Anders knows how to play.
He really knows how to play his Germans, yeah.
And then I think either Bjarke or Lasse Lind will do well with Japanese, and they have taken 2 different routes. They bring the same
very different,
different quanting, because Bjarke is bringing this crazy close quarter combat expert that does a lot of damage in close combat, but he's only alongside 1 unit, so if you know how to do
but that 1 unit becomes crazily good. I mean, it's better than my Gurkhas. That 1 unit becomes the absolute top close combat unit of the game.
Yeah, and then, but if you're a skilled player, you can just kite him around and
shoot him down.
Try and shoot. Yeah. So, but that's one way I think Bjarke will do well. He did well also at Jutland Open with his Japanese,
and he usually does. So.
And then I think Lasse Lind, he has taken a completely different route where he has a general Japanese Kurubashi.
Yeah, that's the guy that gives you +5 to morale or something like that.
And then at the same 6 units simultaneously.
Yeah, and he removes Banzai, right?
Yes, you can't have Banzai, but you can actually, as I recall, let me check. I have his rules right here. He can actually activate, as I recall, what is it, like 6 units at a time? But let me just check.
Wow. So that is almost like a Warhammer turn. You get your whole army to go in one go.
Yeah, but then if the other guy has more dices, can go down with the units. Let me check. Yeah, he has a morale bonus of 5+, and the range of his ability is 12.
So he
does not that high. Yeah. He just removes Banzai, but he gives a 5+ morale bonus. That's the fact.
Okay.
I just mixed him up with somebody else.
Okay.
But he says he's for free. So
he's for free. Nice.
But then you sacrifice
you've sacrificed Banzai, but 5+ morale, that is insane. You're going to be so hard to break.
Exactly. And then also if you want to rally, or if you want to, let's say, just make an auto check, it's much easier. Yeah.
Everything but Fubar. Everything else works. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know whether it's no, it's not. You cannot combine it with the normal leadership, so you cannot have leadership 15. It's still just plus maximum of 12.
Right. I agree that one of those guys is a definite potential for winning that tournament.
And then also, of course, Søren Rulle, he knows how to play as well. He's
he really does. He's also been doing well the last 4 tournaments, so he is also a definite contender. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not that because I think Ken is really going into this event with the mindset of having fun, because he's also a skilled player, but he's bringing his Danes.
Yeah, and that, by the way, is one of the lists that we're going to view right now. We're going to look at Søren's list, we're going to look at Bjarke's list, and we're going to look at Kent's. All of these we have mentioned here. I'm going to share my screen for the viewers. Here we go, that one. Yeah, and there we go. So let us start by looking at Bjarke's list. I will read it and we can give a little bit of commentary as we go. Now, this one, Bjarke is, of course, a very experienced player. He's been playing around with Japanese for a while now. He has 950 points here, 15 order dice of the Kwangtung army. Now, for me, as soon as I saw this one, I knew that this was going to be a very good army because the Kwangtung army is actually one of the better selectors, I think, like theater selectors.
Yeah, and also due to the fact that at that point during the war, the Japanese still had, fresh and veteran units. There were not so many units that were killed already.
Yeah, and all the inexperienced rabble that we see later in Japanese armies from late war, they are not here. He's bringing a second lieutenant regular with an extra man. He's bringing veteran IGA 10-man squad. He's bringing a regular squad as well of 8 with rifles. Then 2 scout teams of 3 men. Again, this is very, very good. Like, look at that. Veterans, they're going to be very hard to kill with those rifles. And then Manchukuo cavalry, 8-man, mounted, tough fighter, fanatic, a dream combo. Double inexperienced mortars. Look at this, people in Great Britain. This is how you run mortars. Double inexperienced mortars, and then 3 sniper teams to protect them. That is so cool. He's going to maybe even be able to outsnipe all the Finns bringing the
the White Death.
The White Death, maybe.
Yeah.
And double field gunners as well. So he has double howitzers here, one of them medium, the other light. An SS Key, which is the flamethrower vehicle, and then 1 single suicider. For me, this is a very, very strong list.
And actually, it can lay a bridge. So if there's a river,
yes,
you can try and deploy a bridge. So that's just right up the alley of wacky vehicles.
Yes, it is. And it looks so weird. It looks like a square box vehicle itself. It's so weird.
Yeah, and then, but one thing I really want to emphasize is that, yes, Bjarke has the scout rule.
Yeah.
So he can forward deploy, but also the fact that he can outflank with those 2 units. I like outflanking a lot. So just to upset the opponent in which side it is coming. So he can, choose to forward deploy one of them and then outflank with one of the others.
Yeah. Because they've got behind enemy lines, which means that they don't get the minus. So they're really good outflankers as well. And having played against Bjarke quite a few times, I know he likes to outflank. So anyone going into this, be aware he might just outflank you. But on the other hand, he might just put them down and have 5 forward deployers, which that might also be a thing.
And he might win that game, against all the other guys, spotters and stuff.
Yeah. And for sectors, having 5 forward deployers is really beneficial. Yeah. So this is a good army, Bjarke. I have great hopes for this one. Now, let's look at the special character, because Kenshiro here is the special character he's chosen, and these are the rules. Now, look at this. May be present in any Japanese selector. Kenshiro is not a team, but instead is added to one of your IGA infantry squads. So potentially he could add it to his cavalry.
Should be able to, but I think it's like the actual model is an infantry model. So
So basically, I think he's going to add it to his veterans. Because it says IGA veteran infantry or bamboo spear fighters, and we don't have any bamboos. So it replaces their normal NCO at the cost of plus 50 points. So he is expensive, but look at what he does. He's a veteran. He's an infantryman, 50 points. In close quarters against infantry artillery, Kenshiro rolls 5 dice. 5. And the men in his squad, personally trained by him, roll 3 each. Oh my giddy god!
Yeah, and it's just bring your Gurkhas, man, and you'll be squashed.
He's rolling like 30 dice on a single unit of veterans. 30 dice, whoosh!
Half them up. And they're top fighters, so just to try and half them go with your Gurkhas. But the funny thing is that yes, he's one bloke. So if you have, let's say, some snipers,
Yeah.
you can try and take him out. And I think that's the reason why also Bjarke has brought 3 snipers to try and duel.
And duel down snipers because he doesn't want to lose this guy, and I understand him because if he gets into close combat, he will absolutely tear you a new hole. I mean, is. Yeah.
But at least it's not against vehicles.
At
could you
least
imagine
not.
if it works against vehicles?
Yeah, it only works against infantry and artillery, which rolling that against a tank, you would also kill any tank.
Yeah. Exactly. So, but it's right up the alley, and everybody were allowed to bring some special characters. And
yes, so so I really like this one for Bjarke. I mean, I'm very much looking forward to hearing how he went, because this is a really good list, and it's an interesting one as well. Now, the second one that we're going to talk about is Kent. We already talked a little bit about him, and he is bringing the Danes. And I am guessing that you allowed him to use the fanfics Danish list that Jesper Mogensen wrote.
Yeah, exactly. And I actually think that there's another Danish list here that is using the ones from Germany Strikes, I think.
Yeah.
But both are allowed. There's both theater selectors, so they could bring whatever they want out. It's cool, man. It's Danes. It's our
we need them. Yeah. We need them on the table. I mean, and so just to actually see them on the table, and I really like the fact that he takes the 3 motorcycles here as well. So it's a very thematic, but at the same time, I think it actually can do well. He has an inexperienced lieutenant with an extra man, because the Danish army was frankly not trained for war at the period, so very thematic as well. Then he has 2 inexperienced infantrymen, infantry sections of 7 men. They have rifles, and a single man has a VB launcher. And then he has 2 veteran units of 11 men, also with a VB launcher. So a lot of indirect shots coming out of this group of infantry. And the veterans here are large units. They're going to be very, very survivable.
Yeah, and he'll still have full strength, with in regards to auto checks and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So he might actually even outflank them, having full strength, rerollable veteran. I mean, very good outflankers. 2 anti-tank teams, so anti-tank rifles, regular. I like that as well. A single sniper, medium mortar with 3 men and a spotter, a Bofors, because of course it was like everywhere in all armies in the early war.
Yeah, but it's an artillery piece, so yeah.
It's a light anti-tank gun, and basically I think the light anti-tank gun was the only one the Danish army had. I don't think we had medium ones.
No, the thing is that back in the day we used to have our own weapons manufacturer called Madsen, and he produced a very, very renowned and well-made autocannon, 20mm autocannon.
Yeah.
And he hasn't opted to bring it, I think, but that actually killed a lot of half tracks on the 9th of April, because the Germans weren't bringing the armor in front. They had a lot of scout units and half tracks going across the border first, and actually they took out almost 20 vehicles with that nimble gun or on a motorcycle.
Yeah, and he does bring motorcycles, but not with autocannons. So he has 3 motorcycles with sidecar, and 2 of them have the Madsen light machine gun, I guess.
Yeah.
One of them has an anti-tank rifle. And then finally, the Landsverk Lynx, which is a Swedish-produced armored car, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and I actually think I have the stats for it, because another guy who's bringing it has used another builder to create it. And the Landsverk has a turret mine with light automatic cannon, so that is the Madsen cannon, yeah?
Yeah.
So 2 shots, penetration 2, HE1, and then it has a coax MG, and then a forward hull mounted, and then a rear facing. So again, a wacky vehicle that is actually quite good.
But machine guns all around.
And reggy. and Reki.
Yeah, and Reki. So I really like the Lynx. Both, it looks really cool. Actually, it's a nice looking vehicle, and it's also pretty good for 120 points. So 14 order dice of Danes, and I think potentially that they might not like lose in a couple of hours. So I really like this list here. It has a lot of potential for me. Pity that he couldn't bring any special characters, but there aren't any like special characters for a nation that only fought for a few hours.
But then they should have brought Anders Lassen. I think I hope they will create him at some point, because he won the Victoria the medal, and he was the only foreigner out of 3 that received the Victoria Cross during the war. So I hope at one point they will make him.
Yes. But wouldn't he be fighting for the Brits?
He will be fighting for the Brits, yeah, and he'll be in SAS and SBS.
Yeah, so he couldn't actually join a Danish army anyways. The final list that we're going to look at today is going to be from Søren Rulle, and Søren is bringing his Finns, 14 order dice with the White Death here. So a second lieutenant regular with 2 extra men, so not going for the small team, but instead like beefing out his lieutenant. And then, and Søren is the only one I know who does this, but 9-man Sissy recon units, 2 of those. These have Master of the Hunt, so they can advance and go on ambush from where they can go down, or they can use the Finnish special rule of shooting with +1 from ambush, which is really nice. Then he has a unit of Jakaris, light infantry, veteran as well. They have a lot of submachine guns, so close quarters fighters here. 2 Winter War riflemen, 5-man units, regulars. These are perfect backline holders. He can sit back, go on ambush, and if he gets the shot, well, he gets the shot. Otherwise, they can go down. An anti-tank rifle team, a medium mortar team with a spotter, an anti-aircraft gun. This is the heavy automatic cannon. Very nice. A BA-20 and the T-28 Pastuna tank. That is the 8+ with a howitzer and a lot of machine guns. And then a single Komsomolette and a single truck.
Yeah. And Søren played at Jutland Open and got 3rd with a generic reinforced platoon. But this has some restrictions because it's the Winter War, the theater selector. But Søren knows how to play, and also the fact that he's a college math and physics teacher, so he knows his way around numbers, and you can tell like if you know what the likelihood of rolling a certain amount of dice is, you can put that into your game, and
you really can, and he does. And let's just look at the special rules for the White Death here, because they are added here at the bottom, just in case anyone doesn't know. The White Death was the Simo Haita. I'm not sure how to pronounce. Haya. Anyway, he was the deadliest sniper basically ever. I don't think he's been overdone yet.
No, he has 400 confirmed kills without scope, because he didn't want the glass to reflect. So it could also freeze up because of the temperatures, -30. Yeah. So he used open sights, and that's crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy. That is insane. He was so good at that. I think he was a hunter before the war as well. So he used some of his skills to do that. So he's a veteran sniper team, 75 points, which is crazy cheap for what he does. He ignores movement penalties for snow and other winter conditions. Not that comes off that often, but it's a nice little extra bonus. And he's a trained huntsman. So if he has an ambush order, he doesn't only get like +1, he gets an extra +1. So basically, he hits you on a 2+, no matter what, which is crazy cool. And he can reroll morale ticks as well, as long as he's on ambush. He has Master of the Hunt, of course, which means that he can advance and then turn it into an ambush. So basically, how I would run him is I would move up, get a new position, go on ambush, and then as soon as something happens, because you're now looking at the enemy small teams or artillery pieces. As soon as they move, boom, give them a pin or a casualty. The White
you will
Death,
most likely kill them because sorry,
because the final one here is if he fails to cause damage on his target, Simo may re-roll the dice. So he basically he's very, very likely to kill whatever he shoots at. Yeah. That is 5 confirmed kills per game. So divided by 400, he's going to make a fair amount of those kills next Saturday, I guess.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, if you, at least when I build a unit or list, sorry, I always think that as long as my units at least gain the same amount of points in destruction as they are worth, so to speak, if you catch me, it's like, so if you can build a unit, let's say it costs 120 points, it should at least kill worth of 120 points. Yeah. So he is quite expensive, 75 points. So he has to kill some weapons teams or like some important characters, officers and stuff.
That quite often happens, doesn't it? But if he's just going to go hunting for like inexperienced NCOs, then okay, he's never going to make his points back. But if he goes out and kills a medium mortar and like takes a few shots at an artillery piece, boom, you've got your 75 points right there.
And it's so cool. I'm looking forward to see both the guy firing with him and then also the guy receiving it.
Yes. Yeah.
You're saying what? 2+ and reroll?
Yeah. What? Yeah. And I think he's a lot better than even the new German sniper Gewehr 43 or whatever it was. Just because he's so goddamn certain of killing whatever he aims at. And
combined with Master of the Hunt, with the move and ambush, it's crazy.
It's really, really good. Yeah. So that was what we had on the on the schedule for today. Good luck, Christian, with TOing all of this. This is going to be crazy. I'm guessing a lot of people will be shouting for a TO to come over and confirm, is this rule really right? Can that happen?
Yeah, and that's also why I had a lot of extra work with sorting out the list, because I had hoped that the guys bringing their special characters would actually have put in the rules for them there. So
don't ever assume that they will make it easy for you.
No, and then, but that's also why I put in a little bit of extra effort, because then you won't have any gotcha moment at the event. Hopefully.
Right. Good luck to everyone going. Good luck to you as the TO. I really hope you enjoy the weekend. I'm so sad that I can't go, but I unfortunately had to go with the wife this weekend. We're pre-booked, so.
Yeah, but you can always follow along on Tournekeeper Bow.
I will try and do that. Right, everyone. See you all in the next video. Cheers.
Cheers.